falling back and taking a back seat to Venus's success.
Ferg, I think you had the internet up. She has 14 majors in doubles competition too, right? With her sister.
Yep.
So if you want to go to teams, it is her. Because if you want to go to team route, she has 14 championships in it, and then 23 more by herself. So all hail the queen.
What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm Tavares Ferguson, joined with my co-host Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
Quite a bit, actually. So let me just get into it. First off, wrapped up. I don't know if any of the listeners have checked that out on HBOMax. It's Issa Rae's new show from that started Insecure. It was a good show. I still think the rap group is based on City Girls. A lot of similarities, but very, very good show. I think it was probably only one kind of mid episode that was kind of like lame, but the other 8, because I think it's 9 episodes total, were good. So check that out if you haven't. Huge sports day today for someone like me. After we get done recording, I'm ready to go check out Coco Gauff in the U.S. Open. Florida State plays tonight. And then there's a heavyweight boxing match tonight as well. And speaking of sports, Serena. I don't think I've ever watched that much tennis in 1 week than I have this past week. And Ferg, I know you and Scott checked out what potentially is her last match. But my biggest failure is not seeing that woman play live and in person. And if for some reason she comes back next year, because her interview kind of left it open, if she comes back next year, I'm there. I'm going. But it was great watching her play and just all the love. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think a black athlete, singular athlete, has ever gotten unanimous praise like that in an arena like she has. Like Jordan, yeah, but it was him and his team. At a boxing match, it's always people that's going for the other person as well. Everybody in that arena, other than the immediate family of her opponent, was rooting for her, and I'm not sure I don't think I've seen that before, man.
I haven't seen that from any athlete, white or black. well, I guess maybe back in the day when Jack Johnson was boxing and like the entire audience was white, right? So maybe then, but other than that, like. Yeah, you haven't seen it in current history.
That was cool, man. That's all I got, though. It was great watching her.
Yeah, I'm not going to let the Serena thing go. I mean, the whole thing about that is while I was watching her match, what was it, Tuesday night? Was that Tuesday?
Yeah, she played Tuesday, then doubles on Wednesday, and then her other match on Thursday.
Okay. So while I was watching that match and praying to the gods that Serena pulled it off, it made me realize kind of what you were saying, Buff, that you want to see her. And it's just, in that moment, I'm sitting there thinking, these are once in a lifetime moments. Like, I don't think there'll ever be another Serena, And then I started thinking about just greatness, period. As we lose greats in sports, entertainment, and just anything, recognizing that, I guess, the rarity of their greatness and making me want to take time to appreciate greatness more. So I think about the greats that we've lost. We're all like, man, I wish I would have went to a Prince concert, a Michael Jackson concert. If I would have been able to see Jordan play in his prime and all that stuff. And Serena was her story is so captivating just because, just like I mentioned, Jordan and even Brady and LeBron, those are team sports. Brady's last Super Bowl, he won, but the team pulled together and galvanized that win. Like, he did enough to manage the game, not to lose. And I'm not trying to take anything away from her. What I'm saying is somebody like Serena, it's all or nothing. When they say leave it on the court, you know, you can go score 60 points in your last game and still lose, right? It's all or nothing when it comes to sports like boxing. On
individual sports. Yeah, individual like sports tennis, is way different.
And so it's just, in watching it, I just, in that moment, and I wish I would have gave her flowers earlier, because you say it all the time, Buff, like, she's probably the GOAT. And it's all or nothing. Just that individual, it's me and you. I don't get any help. The refs can't save me. My teammate can't pull me out the funk. You know, Kyrie can't hit the winning basket.
Ferg, you might remember this. You remember when we ran track? What was it, Coach King? He was talking greasy about football. He was like, everybody think football is so tough, but you get tired and you get a substitute. You out there on track, can't nobody substitute for you. You got to run and finish that race. I thought about that. Yep. Like, that girl, one of those matches was like 3 hours. That's a almost 41-year-old woman going back and forth hustling for 3 hours. Ain't no timeout. Ain't no sub me in real quick for a few plays. It's just her. It was crazy.
All eyes on you. You got to dig down, and you know, and not even just 41. Since 1998, she's been doing that. Like, it's just being that young and pulling it together.
What's the record? She's the only player to have won a match in her teens, her 20s, her 30s, and her 40s.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know the exact.
That's crazy. Like,
that's crazy. So, all right. I don't want to hold up the whole day talking about Serena, but we could. And I think, once again, we talked about Sky, and we all have daughters and stuff. She's just a great example of what the sky being the limit for women. And, you know, there's no, like I said, we can talk about her being the GOAT, not best female athlete, best tennis player. Like, when you think about those accomplishments, she's a GOAT. And that's saying a lot. So, Black women, this is for you. You deserve all the praise and all the smiles that thinking about Serena and Venus over the last few days, last few weeks brings you. You know, as inspiring as she is to us, this is for y'all. I'm not going to try to take it. I'm not going to try to steal your thunder, steal your glory. Black girl magic, Black queen, all that good stuff. This is for you guys. You deserve it.
Definitely.
I'll probably say something ignorant later that's probably going to get pissed them off again. So
yeah. You're on the good side right now. We'll see.
We'll see.
All I got, man, Lord of the Rings dropped this weekend, and it is really good. So they dropped 2 episodes to start off the season or the series, and it's really setting up to be epic. The cinematography in it is beautiful. You can tell they use like ultra 4K type of cameras on it and stuff. I mean, it's the cleanest that I've seen any type of shows recently. So I'm super excited about seeing Middle Earth and the larger Tolkien area. And just being able to kind of explore it, because they are not just looking at Middle Earth in there. So, it's on Amazon Prime. So, and it was funny. Who's over Amazon? What's his name? The owner?
Talking about Jeff
or whatever.
Bezos?
Yeah, Bezos. So yeah, his son's like a huge Tolkien fan, and he basically went up to Jeff Bezos and was like, "Don't f this up." So
yeah. Must be nice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Be able to walk up to a billionaire like that. So but yeah, go ahead.
Do you tell me this Lord of the Rings or the House of Dragons? What do you have your money on? What do you think is going to be a bigger success? Who's going to do it better?
I hate to say it. I think House of the Dragon is going to be a bit bigger success because HBO and HBOMax has a bigger following and a bigger, like, you know, just distribution network. whereas Amazon Prime, a lot of people don't watch Prime Video very much or don't go to that. But I think from a quality of show, I do think Lord of the Rings is going to be a better show. Unfortunately, I mean, it's George R.R. Martin and his stuff is great, but Martin is very pigeonholed in his. He creates worlds off of his dome, just like there's not a lot of strategy to it, and that's why people just randomly die, right? He just like, oh, I want to kill this person today, and I feel like he's gonna do that, and he kills people for shock value, and a lot of times it really doesn't make sense. He'll build up. You'll be expecting something from the character, and then boom, that character dies. You talked about that last week, Ferg, right? And that's Martin's kind of how he does it. Tolkien, on the other hand, has an idea or story arc from it, so his stuff is a little bit better. And you've got freedom from the writers because Tolkien's dead, right? So you almost don't have the George R.R. Martin in the writers' room saying, "I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this." That you have the writers that can actually build out the story from front to end, and that can be good or bad, right? Because we saw at the end of Game of Thrones, they screwed that up when they didn't have source material from George R.R. Martin. So we'll see. But I trust the writers on Lord of the Rings, and I think they really have an appreciation for everything that's happening there. So, you know, some of the characters that everybody remembers from Lord of the Rings, Elrond and the elves and stuff, they're there. And so I think it's just going to be really cool to kind of see them grow up in their younger days, because it's set like 400, 500 years before, The Hobbit. So, yeah. And just seeing Sauron kind of grow and become Sauron that we know. So, yeah, it's just going to be awesome, man.
Start. Okay. All right.
So, only other thing, man, I had, did you guys see the video of the shawty that she had a guy take her on a date and he spent like $1,000 on the date and then had her ex-boyfriend pick her up at the end of the date?
She had her ex-boyfriend pick her up?
Yeah. But I don't blame her though. I really don't. That's why I brought it up. I really don't blame her. I'm blame the Sabu dude that took her out on a first date and spent $1,000. I'm sorry, but bruh, that you need to be taking them on coffee. You need to be taking them to Applebee's or something on a first date. This idea of spending $300, $400, $1,000 on your first date is just stupid to me. So gentlemen out there, y'all need to kind of learn that lesson. And ladies, don't be expecting these huge dates on the first date. Go to a coffee. Go to something like that.
Screw that. Know your worth, queens. I guess I feel like that's the reason, right? Is that the reason? Is it that it's his he's setting the bar too high, or her expectations are too high? What it's because I just don't understand why that. Or
I mean, if she had her ex-boyfriend pick her up after the date, I don't think her expectations were that high. Because obviously that didn't blow her away.
Well, I mean, did she expect to go on $1,000 date? Like, is this to date me? You need this. This is how. Only, if you're not doing this, you're not getting my hair done and all this stuff before we go on our date, then you can't date me. I ain't dating no broke nigga.
I doubt that. We have to make assumptions here, but I doubt that, because if she did have that expectation, he was actually doing that expectation, I doubt she'd have her ex-boyfriend pick her up from the date, because at that point, more than likely, she wants to continue and at least milk him for that money after.
Oh, and by the way, ladies, I'm not trying to put on y'all. He's stupid.
Yeah.
He's stupid.
Yeah. So, but that's all I got, man. I just wanted to bring those up. I did see a story about a guy that lost his fingers. The video, the guy was like, he lost a couple fingers on his hand. He was like, "Doc, am I going to be able to use my hand?" He was like, "I can't be sure, but I wouldn't count on it." Yeah. Huh? Oh, the Wells Fargo thing. One other thing that I did want to talk about is the Wells Fargo loan that they're doing right now for Black and Hispanic communities. So I've heard all this swirl around it, a bunch of false assumptions and all of that. So I wanted to kind of break that down for you guys. So Wells Fargo announced a new loan that they're going to be doing, that they're not going to use credit score for underwriting on it. What they're going to use is your rental history, your car note history, things like that, to be able to show that you can make the payment on it. So by them removing that credit score requirement, what they're able to do is do 100% financing inside of those communities. They're using a grant that they already give everybody else, because I heard everybody else is, why just the Black communities? Why just the Hispanic communities? Why not give it to Black people that are trying to move to, the suburbs and that type of stuff? It's because they're trying to reinvest into those poor, low to moderate income areas. It's because they're trying to make up for, let's be granted, they've had a bunch of findings on them, doing things to Black and Hispanic people and all of that, and so they're trying to make up for it, and this is a way for them to do it and be very targeted. They're only piloting it in a few cities anyway, but what they're trying to do is be able to give you 100% financing. They're going to give you a $15,000 to $25,000 grant that they already have for your down payment piece. So you will have equity in the house already. So that's one of the things everybody was whining about. You are going to have equity in the house, because the grant you don't have to pay back. They're not financing the entire 100% of the loan. They're only financing what's left over. They're not using credit scores. That's why and it's not limited to Black or Hispanic people that can get the loan. It's limited to Black and Hispanic communities, and anybody. They can't even ask you your race on the application, and so anybody can move into those communities. So if our Black and Hispanic people don't take advantage of this loan, guess what? And guess who is? It's going to get some gentrification going on. You're going to have some white people coming in, taking over that. And then you're going to be complaining that all the white people are moving into the community. So it's to promote home ownership for people in those areas that will actually take care of those homes and own them as their own, so that they can create generational wealth in that community. So it's a community reinvestment thing. It's not necessarily a Black thing or a white thing. So I just wanted to put that all out there and dispel some of the myths. I heard a couple of myths about people talking about it's going to be adjustable rate. They haven't even announced the rates on it yet. So you don't know if it's going to be adjustable or variable. And just like I talked about the last couple episodes ago, adjustable rates right now isn't a bad thing. Even if it was an adjustable rate, you can refinance it into a fixed rate in the next 3 to 5 years, which would actually still help you. And now you own your house. You got that grant. You have equity in the house. So there's so much benefit to this program that even if there are some downsides to it, which there's always some, this is a huge, huge program. It's going to be great for those communities, for ownership in those communities. So I just wanted to get off my soapbox with it. But you guys got any questions on it or anything you want me to kind of talk through?
Do you know the cities offhand that they're doing this in? Because they're doing it in a limited amount of cities right now.
Yeah, I think there's like 5 or 6. I want to say I remember Boston being one, Chicago being one, DC being one. But I can't remember the others. I think Atlanta was on the list too, if I remember right.
They're like LA, but yeah. I think it's like 5 or 6 cities.
Yeah. So, but that's all I got, man. I just wanted to talk through that one.
I was looking at Facebook today or the last few days, and I realized, you know what really hurts my heart? Do you ever get those posts where it says, like, let me know when you see it? Or they'll have like a video or something like that, or it'll be a picture or something, and you're like, well, I don't know about y'all. I'll be sitting like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I go straight to the comments.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, I'll be trying to figure it out because I'll wait for a little while. I'm like, okay, they got Thanos on there, and it'll be just random stuff. What was one other day? What was it? Oh, I think it had like Aladdin or something like that, and I'm like, okay, is Aladdin throwing up gang signs? Am I missing something, or like what's going on? I'm sitting there, I'm making stuff up in my head, trying to figure it out. And you go to the comments, you're like, oh, really, nigga? That's what it was? Would have never figured it out. So I don't know if it's just me, but those things are starting to get on my nerves because it's just too much pressure to figure out. I judge my intelligence off of those posts. I feel like, am I getting old? Am I not as quick as I used to be? Those posts just do me in, man. So I just want to say, stop making those posts. If you do, I'm gonna start unfollowing you. Just throwing it out there.
You know you got to make a couple of those posts next week, right?
Absolutely.
I be sitting there just like, what the hell's going on? Is it just me?
I try for a minute or two, but then like Razi, I just go to the comments. The answer is always there.
Yeah, you'll never get this one. Only 37% of the audience gets this. And you're like, what? Also, FAMU's playing today. We'll play Jackson State. So for me, I feel like our season's just really beginning, and I'm hoping that we will come out with a W. Nothing against Jackson State. I mean, both schools are going through a lot of stuff right now. And speaking of that, my heart goes out to the people in Jackson with the water crisis. That's a whole nother thing where they're looking like Flint, Michigan, where they can't get suitable potable water. And I hate always making things about black and white, but it's a capital of Mississippi, and it's 80% black, but they haven't had water in over a week. And it's just, this just doesn't happen other places. And it's not just a one-off, like something that they have bad pipes, everything's just wrong. So it's going to take time to fix and get things corrected the right way. They might find a stopgap or a short fix, but it's not going to be anything that's going to correct it. If they do, because Flint still is dealing with water problems. So I don't know, man. That's just disheartening to be in 2022 and think that people can't drink water. Students have gone home. The hospitals, everybody's suffering. There's no bottled water. So my hearts and prayers to the families out there. Schools are shut down, all that stuff. So it's crazy.
Definitely, man. So, and I just, we've dealt with these water crises before, like you talk about Flint, Michigan and everything. It's like the leadership not maintaining the stuff in any city, right? It's horrible. But at the same time, I understand trying to have a budget and trying to manage a budget, and sometimes maintenance goes out of the window when you're trying to handle the fires that are happening right now from a leadership perspective. So again, going back to all these, and a lot of these Republican-led areas, but just areas in general that want to fight taxes, want to fight tax increases, want to fight all of that. Just understand it's expensive to run a city, to run all of these public works and public services that you really talk about. And so just understand that if you want it to be right, then you got to be ready to pay some extra taxes too. And that's that. And to be able to help your fellow man, sometimes it's, hey, you got to pay county taxes, and the county is going to be helping somebody that's not your immediate area. And so just being, open to making sure that all of the people are taken care of is a big deal. So, get out of your own way and make sure that you're thinking through what you can do for everybody, not just yourself. Stop being selfish.
Buff, nothing on it? I always have the political view.
I'll just let the listeners know we actually posted a link on ways to help the people in Jackson. We're not vouching for any one particular organization. The link we posted lists several organizations that are helping out. So just vet them to the best of your ability. But the overall point is just to give if you can. So go to that link. I'll probably post it again on Three Brothers No Sense, Facebook and Twitter. And if you're interested in helping, please do. They're talking about it's going to cost probably over $1 billion to completely fix that water treatment facility the way it needs to be fixed. And to Razi's point, I agree, but I also slightly disagree. Yeah, you can't fight tax increases sometimes, but too many cities and leadership people misuse the money that they have. And so it's like,
definitely agree there. Yeah.
At some point you have to take a stand and say, okay, I don't mind paying more, but what are you doing with the money you have now? Like, for instance, they got $75 million in the infrastructure bill. Nobody knows where that money is for Mississippi. And they're supposed to get another $429 million in a bill that Congress passed last year. So that's the type of stuff that needs to be paid attention to. Inexcusable for the so-called richest country, I'm on a damn soapbox now, the so-called richest country in the world to have a city that can't even provide these people being told to shower with their mouths closed. That's
capital city.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I mean, I could go on just like we said with Serena. I could go on, but yeah, it's messed up. So just help out if you can.
All righty. Well, do we want Sophie to save us today, or we want to just go into it? I feel like the damage is done.
Yeah, let's just go.
All right, who's up first?
Wow, this house is cute. But can I really get in the game in this economy? I do have savings, and I am responsible-ish. I should bury it. I'm being wild. But what if I'm not being wild, though? Could I actually score a...
Kick off your home buying journey with Zillow's new BuyAbility tool. It makes it easy to find out what you can afford, so you can get off the bench and onto the playing field with confidence. Check your BuyAbility, only on Zillow.
I don't know the show last week, so I'll go last.
Okay.
Go ahead, Buff. Okay. You got it.
Okay. So Razi, I'm going to use him to start this question. Razi has routinely said, even recently, that single people cannot give him advice on relationships. And so my question kind of surrounds that. Does the messenger matter if the message is correct? Because like several months ago, Kim Kardashian came out and told women that are in business to get your fucking ass up and work. Nobody wants to work these days. And coming from someone that most people universally feel like got famous for getting piped down on a video, a lot of people were kind of like, who is this heifer to tell us we're not willing to work when she's one of the laziest in the world and just famous for being famous? I don't want to debate that. I actually do think Kim Kardashian, I think she does put in the work, but that's a different topic. Let's just take it for what many people were calling her for and saying that she is lazy. Is what she said, is there some merit to that? And does that message get lost because of the messenger? Overall, my question is, can a good message come from a bad messenger? Or once the messenger is bad, is the message completely lost, in your opinion?
You want to go first, Ferg, or you want me?
Yeah.
Like, can OJ tell you shouldn't be hitting on Z? Can OJ tell you shouldn't hit Z? Because you shouldn't hit Z, but it's coming from OJ.
Yeah, I mean, because you just never know what people have learned over time. Being in, think about like coaching. Like you have people who coach that can never play the game. And they understand, they put in the time, and sometimes the time just comes with experience. I remember just growing up and sitting down with like some of my uncles and like them just, now all their messages weren't good, but them just saying, some of the things and the I think good characteristics of being a man, being hardworking and dedicated to your family. Even though I see you like you trash, but and I say it all the time, there's the me, I want to be in me who I am. And so I can always kind of still tell you what you need to do. I can tell you how to live a healthy life. Like somebody on 600 Pound Life can tell you how to live a healthy life. They might be researching how to diet. They might be researching the best meal plans. They just can't do it themselves. Doesn't mean it. I think you look at the source and you try to figure it out, and you can just block it out if you want, or you can kind of take it in, decipher it, and use it how you want. I think we're just getting our feelings too much. I think that's probably what it is. It's not only that the source, it's you can't tell me anything. I think it's more than just I'm not listening to this person because they have it. It's like you can't tell me anything. The same way men can't tell women how to be women. Women can't tell men how to be men. White people can't tell any black people about the black struggle. If you don't check these boxes, you don't have a place on this message. You can't say anything. And the thing about it is, that's why we're probably where we're at is the messenger is still the same person, right? It's, you can't tell me anything. A single person might not be able to tell me anything about dating. This was the whole Kevin Samuels thing. You know, well, he's not married. How can he tell people about dating? Well, marriage and dating are two different things. He's telling you what single men are looking for because he talks to a bunch of single men, but you don't want to hear it. I've been out the game for 13 years. I can't tell you what single men are wanting in these streets is saying. Well, I can give you an idea, and I can tell you some of the things that helped me in my marriage, but I can't tell you, you know, what it's like now that, you know, black men are in a certain status, black women are in a certain status, the way things look, the dating scene now. That ain't my world. So, yes.
Yeah. So
he's on pushback.
And no, a little bit of pushback, but at the same time, I want to kind of defend or clarify because you guys know I do sound bites and I do a lot of things that are kind of like, hey, here's the thing, right? Like when I say you can't, I don't take a relationship advice or I don't take marriage advice from single people, those types of things. The messenger does 100% matter, right? There's a big difference of somebody who had this super awesome, successful marriage and something happened. You know, my situation, they're widowed and they're single now and they can talk about what worked. I can even see somebody that had a crappy marriage, right? And they're like, well, here's the downfalls that I went through. Like Ferg, like you said, you know, hey, my marriage failed because of this, because of infidelity, because I wasn't paying attention. I'm cool with that. It's like, but the message that they're delivering is very different than saying all women should do this or women should do that or guys want this and making these blanket statements and stuff when I don't see that they can have a functioning relationship, right? Like if they can't communicate, if they can't do it correctly, then you come and try to tell me how to do it correctly and something's wrong. You can tell me your cautionary tales. You can tell me what you did wrong, right? If that's what I saw, like you guys were in this tumultuous relationship and you're sharing what caused it to be, tumultuous, but for you to tell me what a healthy relationship looks like when you haven't had a healthy relationship. You know, I just don't like people giving you strategy, giving you the tertiary type of, oh, here's what it should be like, but they can't tactically do it or even tell you how to tactically do it. That's the difference for me. So that's why I'm 100% on that whole, well, if you're single, you can't really tell me. Just like Ferg, you said, if you're in a relationship right now, you can't really tell me about dating right now. You can tell me about dating 15 years ago, but that's totally different, right? So that's really why I lean towards that soundbite more so. But there's nuance in everything. You guys know I love living in the gray and everything. And so, yeah, there's going to be times that messenger can give me something, and I'm going to take from that something. But in general, I don't want to see that. I'm not going to. And so Kim Kardashian saying, get off your butt. One, she's not an expert in it, right? It's just her kind of saying her experience, because that's not really what's happening. People want to work. People want to work, but they want to feel valued, right? Mm-hmm. Like the experts tell us that it's not that people don't want to work. It's that they don't want to work for a wage that doesn't make sense for them to come to work, right? They want to come to work and be able to work a single job and go and do other things. They want work-life balance. They want to be able to feel valued at that organization. They want to be able to come to work and go home and not have to worry about the job when they go home. They want to be able to, and a lot of families today have saw that, oh, I can do it off of one household income, right? Me and my spouse, me and my significant other, one of us can work and I can stay home and we're only $200, $300 less a month after I look at all the expenses that me going to work causes. Because that's what I think a lot of folks don't understand. Like here in Birmingham, if you work in Birmingham City, there's a 5% tax on just working in the city. It's a city employment tax. So if I stay home, that's 5% that we don't have to pay. That's less money. That's less commute time. I don't have to worry about after school care for the kids. There's so much that goes into a decision on whether you want to work or not, other than just, I feel like going to work. Because I think, was it you, Ferg, just said, nobody wants to go to work. Nobody wakes up like, oh, I want to go to work. So that argument is asinine in itself because nobody wants to work. It's just, I need to see the value of me going to work, and $10 an hour, even $12 an hour might not be enough value for me to come to your job. So Kim Kardashian, any of those folks that are saying that people don't want to work, again, kill yourself. Like that, that's wrong. Let me stop saying that because I don't want to.
It was more shocking
way back in the day.
Yeah, it was more shocking last week when you said it.
So, but forget that mentality, or I hate that mentality that people are saying people don't want to work, because people want to work. People want to live. People want to provide for their families. It's not that they don't want to work. They will work, but you have to actually give them something that actually is going to add value to their life. And just coming in and slaving away isn't enough these days.
Oh, I'm going to push back to your pushback a little bit. I think it's just always the source. Because you were talking about somebody who's been married. 50% of marriages end in divorce, right? Mm-hmm. So if you had 10 married people giving you advice, 5 of them are probably going to give you some bad advice. If they're basing it off their life experience of their marriages. So it's not that, because you played this game that you're more knowledgeable. It might be somebody who's waiting to get married, who takes marriage and relationships very seriously, who have watched from afar, maybe their parents, their friends. They listen to Three Brothers No Sense and they're picking up nuggets of knowledge. Three Brothers No Sense. And so they're learning. I think we always have to consider the source and the source for what it's worth.
Right.
So they might be able to give you some good pointers on certain things about navigating it, but also they might be able to talk about A, B, and C, but they might be able to talk about 1, 2, 3. Because I think about like my parents growing up, my mom and dad were able to give me certain advice, but there's certain things they couldn't tell me, or at least I thought they couldn't tell me. Even when it came to my dad on marriage and stuff, because he had challenges with his relationship. But when I kind of humbled myself and listened a little more, it was some of the things he was telling me. Sometimes it's not what to do, it's what not to do. I think Buff was saying that. Sometimes it's like, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you what not to do. And so those are things that you can pick up on, but it's always a source in how willing you are to take that information, process it, and make it fit for you. And if it doesn't fit for you, then just discard it. But don't put a wall up just because Razi's single and never been married and he can't tell me about being married. Okay, you're right. Go listen to your married sister over there who's about to get a divorce next week. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to consider the source. Yeah. So
there are plenty of examples. There are plenty of examples of good messages coming from so-called bad people, if you want to look at it that way. Like, the first people we go to when we want to try to talk to the youth about not joining gangs are former gang members. My dad, who I have routinely on this show, said was a flawed person. The one thing he constantly told me was to be better than him, because he knew, some of the things he was doing, he shouldn't be doing. And he didn't have the discipline to, I guess, prevent himself from doing it, but he knew, and he would tell me, be better than me. There's a scene on Chris Rock's movie, I Think I Love My Wife. I think it's Steve Buscemi's character, who is like a hound. Like, he smashes all the chicks in the office. And Chris Rock's character is thinking about smashing, I think her name is Nikki True in the movie. And he's like, man, what are you doing? You messing up. And Chris Rock is like blown. Like, he thought the one person that would encourage him to do it would be him. And he's like, nah, I know how to smash chicks and go home and not think about them. You, on the other hand, you messing up because you're going to catch feelings for it and all that type of stuff. I think today, in general, I think you can tear down anybody. Because nobody is perfect, you can find anybody's flaws, use it against them, and help tear down their message. I feel like today, if people want, because I've seen people try to do it now. If Martin Luther King were alive today, doing what he was doing back then, they would use, his sleeping around with women against him and try to tear down his message. Like, why are you guys listening to him? And I also think that when it comes to receiving that message, it's more so whether or not you're ready to receive it. Because if you're not ready to receive it, you're going to tear down that message. You look at Steve Harvey and Think Like a Man, whatever it was, right? A lot of women were listening to him, ignoring the fact that he's on his 3rd or 4th marriage now, and he's telling people how to get married and stay married. Yet, as Ferg brought up Kevin Samuels, one of their number one knocks on him was, well, he has 2 failed marriages, so why should I listen to him? Well, you listen to this dude who's telling you what you wanted to hear and was delivering his message in a much more nicer tone. You listen to him despite his 3 failed marriages, but you don't like this other one's tone. So it's just a matter of if you were ready to receive it. But I think you guys both made great points. The coach analogy is great. Phil Jackson was like a bench player, one of the greatest coaches ever. So,
you know what you just said, ready to receive the message. I'm gonna bring it closer to home. Kids and parents. Most kids see, even they love their parents. Their parents in their eyes fall short of what they want. Like, I'm gonna be this rock star. My life's gonna be so awesome, yada yada yada. And your parents are giving you nuggets that you're not ready to receive. I remember not trying to work too early. Like, you got the rest of your life to work. Not trying to date and be so sick. Like, they're telling you things, but in your mind, because they don't have the life that you want, they're not a viable source. And I think that happens for most people. It's because in our mind you're not ready to receive the message, because in your mind you're on a whole nother level. You want something different, and a lot of times we don't really know what we want. So take all those messages, filter them, keep moving on. Razi, is on you.
Cool. Well, I know we talked about Serena at the beginning of the show, and I think we've actually had this conversation. But again, for the Inspire You on Air folks, I know this will be the first time you guys are hearing it, but I just want to ask, is Serena the GOAT of GOATs? And if not, because I've seen these conversations bantering back and forth on Facebook and everybody talks about her, and is she the GOAT of GOATs? And if not, why or why not? And who do you think is kind of that pinnacle of GOATness, right? We know people can say, oh, they're the GOAT female athlete, or they're the GOAT in tennis, or the GOAT in Tiger's the GOAT of golf. So I think when we talk about putting all those folks in there, who is that kind of greatest athlete of all time?
I think if you're gonna say Serena is the GOAT of GOATs, you first, if you're that person that believes that, you first have to make the case why she's the GOAT of tennis, because there are male tennis players that have more major championships than she does. There's a female tennis player that has one more major championship than she does. So I think you would first have to make that argument why she's the greatest tennis player of all time. And then you can get into individual sports versus team sports and things like that. You know what? I want to think a little bit more on it. I will say she's on the Mount Rushmore of GOATs. I think that's probably fair to say, even if you want to put the woman that's ahead of her on there as well. But I think the person that's ahead of her that has 24 majors, I forget what time frame that was, but I just truly believe that today's athlete is more athletic, quicker, stronger. They train better, they train longer. Like you guys know I'm a big boxing fan, and we always say, or not even boxing, we can take it baseball. Like, people have said, why is or isn't Babe Ruth the greatest of all time? And, he had all these home runs. He did, to take nothing away from him. But he also was playing against people who were part-time lawyers, shoe salesmen. Baseball was not their life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Versus
pitching was topping out at like 96.
Yes.
It was throwing 100 mile per hour fastball. Yeah.
So, I think that would be my argument for placing Serena over. I hate to keep saying that woman, but I forgot her name. I forget her name. Who is
Margaret Court?
There you go.
From Australia, holds the overall record for the most Grand Slam tennis titles. Won with 64 in total between 1960 and 1975, of which 25 are singles titles.
1960
to 1975, so she did it for 15 years.
See, she probably wouldn't even playing against black athletes. So
I'm gonna tell you, I don't count nobody on the GOAT that didn't have to play against black people.
Exactly. That is. I mean, I'm sorry. And listen, it takes nothing away from what she did. She can only play in her era, in her time, and the rules that were there. But that would be why I would put Serena over her and elevate her to the GOAT of all GOATs conversation. Now, whether she's number one, that's a debate that I'm willing to have. I can't 100% say right now at this moment, but she's definitely at least on the Mount Rushmore.
I'm with you, Buff. When it comes to Serena and Margaret Court, she won by one. I'm not going to even go the talent was different, because if she had the sports science and sports medicine and stuff of today, would she be able to compete? Like, it's, when people look at like a Jesse Owens records and stuff like that, and just saying how much faster some of these athletes are today, it's what would he have done if he had these shoes and all these other things and the same training that Usain Bolt and Carl Lewis or any of these great athletes have had. But when it comes to just her accomplishments and what I'll call the Mamba mentality, because we never questioned Kobe's mentality. Like, it's to grow up when she grew up, to come from Compton, California, when there weren't any black female tennis stars. Hell, there were no black people playing tennis in Compton, period. To overcome everything that she did and to still have that mentality, to overcome everything. Because if the people that we would, I guess, put on that Rushmore with her, did they have the same obstacles? And the ones that did, let's talk about. So I know right now Brady's the GOAT. That's what everybody's talking about. Brady's been applauded and had accolades for the last 20 plus years. He's been the golden child. He grew up in a situation where he was not supposed to do it. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Serena ain't supposed to be here. So I take a lot with that. It's like even Jordan. Jordan had arguably the best basketball player ever, but he also had arguably the best coach ever. Right? And then he was surrounded by all-stars and stuff like that. So for my GOAT, and if you would have gave me this conversation a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it probably would have been Brady or Jordan, something like that, or somebody who played a team sport. But all my GOATs have to be individual athletes, people that did it on their own. Because think about some of Jordan's highlight, like it was the Paxson shot, it was the Steve Kerr shot, it was the Kyrie shot that saved it for LeBron. It was so many times they leaned on their teammates. I had to put her up there with the Tiger Woods, the Mayweathers, the Alis, the people who just did it on their own for so long. Who's been doing it as long as her? Any sport that just by themselves, single, to dominate.
You could say Tiger, maybe. Tiger. If you really, because and that's the other part is with those individual sports, they can go pro or youth pro very, very early, right? So like you have teens pro, conferences and stuff in golf and in tennis and those types of things. So it is very different because they're not going to get on that world stage and be the man or the woman at 16, 12 or 14 or whatever it is. So that's a big difference in those individual sports.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, but you still always have those individual people. You have the Coco Gauffs that are coming behind you that are young and hungry. NFL teams, basketball teams, whatever. You're getting some new young talent to help support you every year. You got somebody coming to give you more support, They're changing the team up every year. They build the team around you. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, because we saw even when Jordan was semi in his prime, right? He couldn't do anything when he was in Charlotte.
Yeah, he had to get the Rodmans. He had to get those role players to get there to overcome the bad boys and all those people. I'm trying to think. I mean, because I'm thinking it's Serena, Mayweather, Ali, Tiger, and Serena just,
Now, do we put Tiger ahead of Jack Nicklaus? Do we put him ahead of Jack Nicklaus?
Okay.
And a little bit, just kind of going into my...
And Jordan played for Washington, not Charlotte. He owns Charlotte.
Washington, yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. So, but my thing is, when we talk about GOATs, truthfully, I also look at what they did to kind of change the game, elevate the game, and that type of thing. So, you can't be a GOAT when you didn't really do much other than, like you say, I'm on the team and yeah, my team won a lot and yeah, I might have been the star player on the team or whatever, but why I do lean towards individual sports versus team sports. But then you look at people like, I've heard the argument for a Bo Jackson or a Primetime, right? That did the dual sport thing. And so I don't know if that, but when you talk about Primetime, you really got to think about he's the only person that played in a Super Bowl and a World Series, right? So when you talk about pinnacle of success in two sports, so when you talk GOATs, there's that conversation. But you still have your Ali's as and that might be a conversation, right? The only thing is longevity, right? Is the hardest part to kind of go there. So I do, for me, think Serena is the GOAT of GOATs when it comes to at least GOAT of GOATs in Black America, right? And that might be a little different for that. But she changed the game. All you just talked about with that longevity wise being there, having entire stadiums rooting for her no matter what, those types of things that she has elevated the game. She's brought the tennis to a whole new level, right? That a lot of Black people started watching just because of her. And that's something. What was the guy that the Black guy who played tennis? Arthur Ashe didn't do that. Right, he kind of broke into it, and there was some. But when Venus and Serena started playing, all eyes were glued on them. Black people started talking about tennis, and so when I look at that GOAT of GOAT conversation, I also look at the outside of just playing. She was top tier in that sport, but also she changed the game. She changed life around that sport, and so I'm gonna put Serena there.
You might have swayed me just a little bit because I'm thinking about the other people and the overall impact they've had on their individual sports or the sports world.
Jordan's the only one that could. Jordan and Tiger are probably the only two that even have that type of argument.
As great as Mayweather is, I mean, you still got people debating him in boxing. He
didn't capture Black America like that either. He didn't really capture it like that.
Like, how has boxing changed because of Mayweather? Outside of go get your money.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods did do it for golf, but you know what? I'm gonna give it to Serena. Screw it. Like I said, because when you start thinking about like Tiger Woods, his life wasn't perfect, but he was accepted. This biracial kid. Like he had a little easier transition into the market. He was more marketable than Serena and Venus because they came in there black. They came in there so black that it made some Black people uncomfortable about their blackness.
She crip walked. She crip walked on the court.
That's another thing I love about her. Like she never lost that. She stayed like true to herself. And Tiger might have done that too, because Tiger was kind of, he was that biracial kid or whatever. But she made you feel like you could go play sports coming out of whatever hood, no matter where you from, you could go play tennis. Tiger didn't invite you into golf. He was like, you can assimilate and come play golf, but he didn't invite you into golf and still let you be yourself.
But they look like, how many girls did you know growing up that looked like Venus and Serena? Mm-hmm. With the braids, the beads, all that stuff, all that, like it was, especially back then, it was hard for some of us because we wanted them to assimilate. If we're going to be in this white space, we need you to represent us better. And I think they forced us to be black. They forced the world to accept blackness, and they stood up for women. Even just recently when she had that black cat suit on, that was probably the third biggest black outfit debacle outside of Janet Jackson and Barack wearing the tan suit. Tan suit. That was the three black faux pas of outfits in modern history. Like, she shouldn't look like that. She shouldn't wear that. She came out, even with Venus. Venus was a little more elegant. She had the look, the tall, slender. Serena came out there like muscular, just powerful. She played the game, and she didn't have a lot of supporters in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So, because it was Venus and Serena. That's how we introduced them. And she even surpassed that because she could have easily fallen back and taken a back seat to Venus's success.
Ferg, I think you had the internet up. She has 14 majors in doubles competition too, right? With her sister.
Yep.
So if you want to go to teams, it is her. Because if you want to go to team route, she has 14 championships in it, and then 23 more by herself. So all hail the queen.
I don't got a whole team. It's just me and one other person.
Yeah. So I will, one last thing though on Tiger though, because he hasn't passed Jack Nicklaus, but I will say this: Tiger, bad boy, and his superpowers got taken away from him. When y'all know what superpowers I'm talking about. Superpowers got taken away from him, but but at one point, Augusta had to change their course. Because he was they changed their course and tried to make it Tiger proof. He was that damn good. Like no court changed nobody changed the baskets because of Jordan. Nobody changed the boxing ring because of Ali. They changed the course because of that dude. So I just want to give him a couple of flowers on that, man. That's a bad boy, but he can't sleep around with white women like he used to. So his superpower got taken away, but still, he was a bad boy. Bad boy.
I'm gonna throw her out here too, because now we're talking about changing rules. Simone Biles.
Yeah,
And that was a very short lifespan. That girl's done stuff. Like, not only they change, like, look, we know y'all gonna try to do this, but you can't.
So we gotta ban this move.
Right. You're gonna ban it, or as hard as it is, you're gonna get less points for trying to. We're trying to save you.
That's wild, right there. That's wild.
So okay, alrighty. What do you fellas have for us?
Well, Ferg, you brought up Mississippi at the beginning of the show. I just want to reiterate, it's important enough to talk about it twice in the episode. Once again, please, even if you don't follow us, just visit us, Three Brothers No Sense, Facebook, at Brothers Sense on Twitter. We posted a link on ways to help the people of Jackson, Mississippi. They can't use water. They have to boil their water to take baths. They're running out of cases of water that they're handing out down there. And while there may be a temporary solution soon, that water facility is going to need to be completely rebuilt or severely fixed up. So it's going to be some issues for a while. It's a can that they kicked down the road for decades. So it's not something that you can blame on the current mayor or the current governor. All the past leadership in that state and in that city share some blame or not tending to this when they should have. And it's come full circle now to where people are without water. It's hot in Mississippi too. And I don't know if anybody's like me, but when I'm sweating in the summertime like that, like you can't wait to take a shower and feel clean again. So just think about how we're in the heat of summer, and they're not having water, decent water to hydrate, to shower, to bathe with. It's a very dire situation, in my opinion. So donate if you can. And like I say, just check out us on Facebook, Twitter. We have the link, and do what you can. But I'm glad Ferg brought that up.
Yeah, definitely. All I got, man, is I gotta have a proud dad moment right now. So Haley is going into her senior year in college. She is the captain of the Blazerettes, which is their dance team in the band. And so she led her team this weekend for their first game with her as captain. She made it all over ESPN. She made it on the big screen, at the stadium, Protective Stadium. It's beautiful, by the way. Brand new stadium for the Blazers and for Birmingham. She was on the big screen there a few times. Like I said, she was on ESPN on national TV, got a lot of attention from that. But I'm just proud of her, man, of kind of leaning into her own. It was the first time she wore her curly hair and not her straightened hair. And I don't think she thought it was going to be such a big deal, but a lot of people reached out to her and just was like, we love that you are embracing kind of that natural look and standing in the front of all these girls, and that's huge for those little girls that's watching, that's in the stands, that maybe on the little dance teams or whatever, and they're seeing that and they're paying attention to it. So we talked about Serena kind of breaking that mold. I ain't gonna put Haley on Serena level, but at the same time, my baby did her thing. So shout out to her, proud dad moment. And so that's it, man. That's all I got.
Great job, Haley. Your step goddaddy is proud of you. It's a whole nother conversation.
Oh yeah, we got to tell the listeners about the step goddaddy, how that happened.
There's a whole nother conversation. I blame Razi. Well, we were talking about Mississippi, and we were talking about and we talked about a couple of things on here, and about helping fellow man. That's kind of been some of the things we talked about. And I want to go back to the student loan forgiveness thing, because I'm still seeing these posts. And, I saw one recently where they were talking about, well, I guarantee all these people didn't use their student loan money for school. They did stupid stuff with it, yada, yada, yada. It is what it is. But I compare this to, I guess the most recent thing is the predatory lending in the housing market a few years ago, where you're giving people, especially, let's go with just student loan, you're giving 17, 18, 19-year-olds access to money who don't understand money. They don't understand what interest looks like. They don't understand. If you do that to the average adult and say, hey, you need $5,000, I'm going to give you 15. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to take 15. We just saw with the PPP loans.
Yep.
We just saw this, and you're asking young kids to make decisions. And of course, I can pay this $5,000 back. I'm going to go to college, graduate, and make $150,000 anyway. I can pay this back in my first year. I can pay this back with one paycheck. Nobody teaches these kids about money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think we get a fresh start for a lot, or at least some help for some of these people. And then moving forward, just try to teach them better, as well as college has gotten so expensive. And so the people who are complaining about this, I know some of you guys were responsible, pay back your student loans. Great job, Razi. Proud of you. I didn't. It took me a long time to get to a point where I could pay my student loans consistently. And I say that because I know there's a lot of people out there that are still struggling with student loans. But we have to look at what people are going through. Like, we have to be careful. For once, college should not be this expensive. All these old baby boomers and Gen Xers, early Gen Xers, talking about you should have worked your way through college. This ain't no 80s teen movie where you get a summer job and you pay for school for a year. Think about it. Rudy paid his way through Notre Dame by being a freaking ball boy or something. Like, that don't happen no more. Like, when you're paying, summer jobs don't pay for books these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I just tell people to have a little more compassion for their fellow man. Every time I turn around, there's something separating us that shouldn't separate us. I remember it's the PPP loans, and then when people were getting the stimulus checks, that was a whole nother discussion. Just like, people, if you're in a position, great. If not, then it's not going to be the norm. This is a once in a lifetime thing. It's not going to happen again that I know of. So just relax. You will be helped. If you're not getting help, it's probably because somebody helped somebody was able to help you. So, All right. Well, that's a good show, fellas. I appreciate it. Anything else before we wrap it up? All right. With that being said, Three Brothers knows. Hey, take a step back. Happy Labor Day, everybody. I hope when you're grilling or doing whatever you're doing, when you're listening to this show, you're enjoying yourself. Happy Labor Day. Enjoy your day off for all those that get off. Three Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.